Imagine a world where every phone had a cord, every call had meaning, and long distance really meant long distance. In the 1950s, the telephone wasn't something you carried. It was something you gathered around. It sat proudly on a small table, often with a notepad, a pen, and a phone book thicker than a Bible. Some people even had a telephone chair, a little corner designed just for talking. The phone wasn't a distraction. It was an event. Most phones were rotary dial, heavy, made of metal or bakelite, that glossy black material that felt cold to the touch. You didn't tap numbers. You dialed them, one by one, listening to the soft clicking sound as the wheel spun back into place. And if you dialed wrong, you had to start all over again. There were no speed dials, no contact lists, no missed call notifications. You remembered numbers, sometimes a dozen or more. A good memory was your contact book. In many towns, people still used party lines. That meant several homes shared the same phone line. If you picked up and heard voices, it meant someone down the street was already using it. You'd quietly hang up, or sometimes not so quietly listen for a moment. Everyone knew the rule. Party lines were half communication, half entertainment. For privacy, you had to earn it. If you had your own line, you were doing well. And if you had two phones in the same house, that was pure luxury. Phone etiquette was a real thing. You didn't call during dinner. You didn't call after 9 p.m. And if the phone rang late at night, everyone's heart stopped for a second. Because late-night calls usually meant bad news. Still, the ring of a 1950s phone had something special. It wasn't a gentle sound. It was loud, mechanical, and urgent. When it rang, people moved. Kids ran to answer it. Parents shouted, "I've got it!" And the entire household seemed to come alive. Conversations were short and meaningful. Long-distance calls were expensive, sometimes a whole $1 a minute, so you said what mattered. You didn't chat for hours. You spoke with purpose. Just calling to say we arrived safely. Tell Mom I'll be home Sunday. Happy birthday, honey. Each word carried weight because connection cost something. There was also something beautiful in the waiting. You couldn't call any time. You couldn't text, couldn't check in instantly. You said goodbye and then waited days, maybe weeks, to hear from someone again. Patience wasn't optional, it was part of life. And when the phone wasn't being used, it was quiet. It didn't glow, it didn't buzz, it didn't follow you around. It just sat there, perfectly still. A silent promise that one day soon, it would ring again. By the mid-1950s, telephones were spreading fast. After World War II, technology improved, prices dropped, and America was becoming connected like never before. AT&T and Bell System were household names, and the phrase, "reach out and touch someone," wasn't just a slogan. It was a revolution. For the first time, you could pick up a phone in New York and speak to someone in California in real time. It was like science fiction come true. The world was shrinking, one dial tone at a time. Phone operators, mostly women, played a crucial role. You didn't always dial a number directly. Sometimes you picked up and heard a polite voice. "Operator, how may I help you?" They connected your calls manually, plugging cords into switchboards like conductors of invisible music. Their voices were calm, warm, and everywhere. If you were a kid, you might prank call the operator just to hear her voice. If you were an adult, you might recognize her tone after months of calling the same one. There was something human about every connection. Technology may have been simpler, but it worked hard to feel personal. Phones came in limited colors, black, ivory, and sometimes soft pastel for the daring. When the first pink or mint green phones appeared, people talked about them as if they were luxury cars. By the late 1950s, innovations like touch-tone dialing and speakerphones were being tested, though most homes wouldn't see them for decades. The telephone of that era was built to last, heavy, durable, and loud. It didn't break easily. It wasn't designed to be replaced every year. It was designed to be a part of your life. Think about it. The phone call was once the most direct way to reach another human being. No filters, no emojis, no photos, just voice. Every laugh, every pause, every sigh carried emotion in ways text never could. People fell in love over those calls. Families shared news, soldiers said goodbye, babies were introduced to grandparents through sound alone. It was imperfect and full of static, but it was real. Even businesses revolved around it. Secretaries took calls on multi-line phones, transferring people with the press of a glowing button. Telemarketing didn't exist yet, but personal service did. You called a store, and a real person answered, by name. And while the phone connected the world, it also connected neighbors. You could call the corner store, the post office, or the school. You didn't Google, you dialed. And you didn't say hello like we do today. Back then, the original greeting was ahoy, a leftover from the earliest days of the telephone. Hello only became standard because of Thomas Edison AS preference, a detail few people remember. The telephone taught generations how to speak, listen, and pause. It trained people to read tone, to wait their turn, to be present in conversation. There was no multitasking. When you were on the phone, you were on the phone. Looking back, it's easy to smile at how slow and simple it all was. But that slowness was what made it special. Every call was a thread of connection. Every ring meant a heartbeat, a story, a voice waiting on the other end. And though today we carry phones in our pockets, answer them half-heartedly, and forget half the conversations we have. Those early calls still echo somewhere in the background noise of modern life. Because the 1950s phone wasn't just about talking, it was about connecting. It reminded us that a single voice could travel miles, break silence, and bridge hearts. And maybe that's the part we've lost. The joy of hearing someone say hello and really meaning it. So if you ever used a rotary dial, wrapped the cord around your finger, or waited impatiently for the line to clear, you remember what connection felt like before it became instant. Because yesterday's calls might be gone, but the sound of them still rings somewhere, just beneath the noise.